Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. And this week we're going to be looking at some of the classical spiritual writers of the Christian faith. And we're going to be starting with Thomas More. He lived from 1478 to 1535. And he was a remarkable figure. He was the son of an accomplished lawyer who attended Oxford University, but left probably because his father put great pressure on him to take up his legal studies in London. He was well known for his religious devotion and his commitment to spiritual life. Even at the height of his career, he would faithfully set aside one day a week for meditation and prayer. From 1518, when he was appointed a royal councillor, he was active in the government of Henry VIII. He received many high honours: under treasurer, knighthood, high steward of both Oxford and Cambridge universities, and chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. But this all came to an end, really, when Henry VIII decided that he wanted to divorce Catherine of Aragon. More told him, after careful study, that he could not support this case for divorce. Later on, he refused to support Henry when the king wanted to take on the title of the head of the church. And this resistance led to his imprisonment, a trial, and finally an execution, his execution. One of More's personal traits was playfulness. He enjoyed life, but he didn't really assign any great importance to playfulness or participating in plays at the court. For him, his heart was all for God. And so I'm going to read a meditation written by Thomas More, and notice that it focuses on God and asks to be free of worldly constraints and attitudes. And you remember too now that he was involved in broad sweeps of secular life, yet his greatest desire was for God. A godly meditation. Give me thy grace, good Lord, to set the world at naught, to set my mind fast upon thee, and not to hang upon the blast of men's mouths, to be content to be solitary, not to long for worldly company, little and little utterly to cast off the world, and rid my mind of all the business thereof, not to long to hear any worldly things, but that the hearing of worldly fantasies may be to me displeasant, gladly to be thinking of God, piteously to call for his help, to lean unto the comfort of God, busily to labour to love him, to know my own vileness and wretchedness, to be humble and meeken myself under the mighty hand of God, to bewail my past sins, for the purging of them patiently to suffer adversity, gladly to bear my pain here, to be joyful of tribulation, to walk the narrow way that leadeth to life, to bear the cross with Christ, to have the last thing in remembrance, to have ever afore mine eye my death that is ever at hand, to make death no stranger to me, to foresee and consider the everlasting fire of hell, to pray for pardon before the Judge come, to have continually in mind the passion that Christ suffered for me, for his benefits unceasingly to give him thanks, to buy the time again that I before have lost, to abstain from vain confabulations, to eschew light, foolish mirth and gladness, recreations not necessary to cut off, of worldly substance, friends, liberty, life and all, to set the loss at right naught for the winning of Christ, to think of my most enemies, my best friends. For the brethren of Joseph could never have done him so much good with their love and favour as they did him with their malice and hatred. These minds are more to be desired of every man than all the treasure of all the princes and kings, Christian and heathen, were it gathered and laid together all upon a heap. This selection from Thomas More is exhausting. One line maybe I can enter into just a little, but even then some single sentences, they contain a lifetime. To think my most enemies, my best friends. However, the prayer is not just one sentence, but sentence piled upon sentence, covering as it seems all thought, word and deed. It is too much to take in, too much to expect, too much to hope for in myself or anyone else. But then one realizes that Moore is not telling us many things, but in fact telling us only one thing. And what is that one thing? Simply this: to love God. When I see this, it all becomes clear. Then I can read each line as another aspect of the call simply to love God. And so, once again, I am struck by the unity of all these writers who talk about contemplative prayer. They all keep calling us back to our first love, and their message, it seems, keeps tuned to the beat of our heart. Love God. Love God. Love God. Amen.